Hey everyone, thanks for tuning back into Strength FM. Nicky Boy and I here with Itay, owner of MBS Fitness and Rehabilitation in Toronto, Canada. How is everyone?
Everything's
Good,
good, man.
thanks.
Thanks for having me on the show.
No,
All
nice
good,
to meet
man.
you.
Nice to meet you too, man. Nice to meet you too. See you everywhere on Chris's
Yeah.
Instagram, so it's not that like it's not that new. I'm like, oh, I know this guy.
So I guess Itay, you've got a little bit more of a unique story. I guess I'm more familiar with it just because I've known you for the last year or so. But I guess a pretty inspiring story. I guess why don't you tell us a little bit about your upbringing to I guess where you are today as owner of your own gym and personal training studio.
Sure. Okay, so basically, in the beginning, when I was brought up, my family had money. Yeah, I guess you would describe it as such. Like we were well off, and then my parents divorced. My father left, and basically everything I had come to know and the lifestyle I had come to get used to went away, and we didn't have a lot of money, and times were rough. And I started working as a dishwasher around 15, 16 at a retirement home, and then helping my mother and my little brother whenever I could, and mostly what I did. And then I got a job as a construction worker and was made a team leader at like 17. But that actually it wasn't something you could do all the time because in the winter it become hard to do demolition and stuff like that. So then I also worked at a retail store selling clothes, and then putting myself through school. I paid for the kinesiology program at York University myself. Took a loan the first couple of years, and the second couple of years I paid for it myself. Worked as a personal trainer because fitness and health was always my calling. I got my first job at 19, 20 at Good Life Fitness, which was terrible. Well, a great experience because I got like kind of got learned right how to train people and how to notice physical cues and stuff like that. Because reading a book is one thing, and actually training people and dealing with people's health concerns and in reality is much different. So I got my experience, but was treated terribly, which also gave me the passion to really pursue my own thing and not treat my employees like that. And then, from there, got a rare opportunity with an investor that believed in me. And I know we're going to go into it later on, but yeah, so I opened up my own place. I was the only one there in the beginning, and now it's transitioned that I have 10 employees. And I also have a rehab clinic as part of the personal training studio. So I have 2 physiotherapists, 2 massage therapists, and 3 trainers, and a contracted chiropractor. And yeah, that's where I am today.
It's pretty amazing, I guess. Why don't you tell everyone how old you are?
I'm 24, and I opened up the clinic at 23.
Yeah,
Damn. Nice.
so 23 years old. Obviously, you've had a lot of hardships along the way. You've I think when I think of you, one thing that I really think of is work ethic. You just got such a strong work ethic, and I think that's probably a big reason where you are today, and it's because of that drive and that hunger. That's something I think everyone envies about you, and something that I think is very important in business, or not just in business, but in terms of any of your success. You're going to be successful in anything, you need that hunger, and that's something that it's. I think it comes to you quite naturally, but at the same time, I'm not going to say, oh, you're just talented. It's just natural. You put in the hard yards.
Oh yeah, like I guess I should mention that I'm also the head trainer at my gym. So I'm up, and you know this, Chris, from 5:30 in the morning, and I work consistently until like 10, 11 at night. So pretty much, it's not like those owners that like put a great team together and then kind of just watch their money kind of grow and be like, oh, this is great, and sit and watch Game of Thrones. Like I'm in there all day, every day, and it's something you need. It also earns the respect of my staff, because when you just have an owner that kind of is like, oh, okay, here's your equipment, this is what I want you to do, and then checks up every now and again, won't really earn the respect of his workers, because that's what I see. Like they always are like really shocked by my work ethic, like you said. And it's not to give myself a pat on the back, but it's just something that I guess to your viewers, just something to know is that you need to show the work and not just use words to try to motivate people. They want to see your actions as well.
Right. Itay, do you feel like your upbringing, say when you were 14 with your dad leaving, do you think that contributed to the work ethic?
Oh,
or was
100%.
something that you naturally had?
No, 100%. I definitely had, like, I always wanted to be someone special, I guess you'd call it, or something big. But it was a whole different thing. And it's also not just that basically he left, because a lot of parents' relationships don't work out and fathers leave. It's that we did have a different standard of living and then it disappeared. So it's kind of like, oh, like you have something and then it's gone. Now go work in like demolition and like water damages, like underground. Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck? Sorry for swearing, guys, but yeah.
No, that's all good.
Like, what's my life?
Oh god. So I guess like what's the secret? You know, you went like you had all this passion, you got this work ethic, but you know, businesses or successful businesses don't just, you know, strive off hard work and passion, you know. You actually got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So like so MBS, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, from scratch you started, within 5 months broke even, 6 months making profit, which, you know, I guess when you're starting from scratch is like, that's a hard task. That's not something that you hear all the time. You know, everyone's biggest fear about going into business is, you know, oh, you know, there's such a huge investment, you know, what if it doesn't work out? You know, how long is it going to take to break even? Mm-hmm. Can you like what's your secret?
First of all, you do it for the passion. You don't do it because you're like, oh, I want to make a lot of money. Even if you do end up making a lot of money, you can't go in the mindset being like, okay, like if I don't hit this target, then I'm failing and I feel bad. No, I enjoy every single day. I enjoy what I do. So if you're going to go into business, you got to make sure you're going into something you're passionate about. It can't just be simply like, oh, I want to become rich. You got to really like it. You can do that. Tons of companies do that, right? But I found my success stemmed from that I loved what I was doing every day, and I was just going for the ride. But besides that is a lot of marketing strategies. I'm part of 3 networking groups. I am very active on social media. I went from basically whatever, like very low 100 amount of followers when I opened the business, and now I'm at 4,000. And it's also the content you put up, right? Because what I find in the industry is very saturated is a lot of trainers, for example, showing themselves. They're like, oh, look how muscular I am, look how strong I am, right? But a lot of people don't care. They see it as narcissism. They don't see it as, oh, I'm trying to promote my business. They see it as like, oh, I want to show off how amazing I am. If you show your clients growing, and I've had a lot of clients that I've shown before and afters, and also show them on the Instagram stories, right? They're like, wow, look, this lady. Okay, now there's this guy. Oh, now there's this. And they're like, oh, this is like a big community. I want to be a part of that. And then occasionally you show yourself and you're like, wow, look at their leader, or look at the staff that they have there. And then it's like, they can make me like that, or they can help me reach my goals. But if you're simply constantly just putting yourself lifting 500 pounds, or you're showing that you have abs, or like, oh, wow, I'm the greatest, they're going to be like, okay, this guy's a dick. I'm not going to that gym. But if you find like, how do I put it? Very smooth transitions in the way you show your content, it really will get people interested.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Maybe I'm doing that wrong. Maybe I'm showing too many videos of lifting. I'd like to say my abs, but I don't have any.
I think what Itay brought up is a good point of what's happening in the industry as well. We've got heaps of people flocking to like fitness models and things like that who are putting up a lot of videos of themselves who may not actually have the best knowledge of getting client results.
Yeah, exactly. I had this one girl I went to high school with, and I'm not going to name any names. She's gorgeous. But like, she'll have like random like, oh, what was your fitness goal today? And I'm in touch with her really good friend. And she's like, I don't think she has one certification. You know, so it's just like, it's a lot of saturation, but you gotta, like, that's why you gotta show the content. Like I have, I also, like I said, I put my own self in there, and I'm proud of my calisthenic ability. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I find that my strength lies in my ability to control my body weight. So, and do pretty cool moves. So I show it, but I always put like as a hashtag on my thing, CEO workout, just because it's something that I just ended up happening to do, right? So I got a new client. And after he signed the contract, he gave me like a high five and he pulled me in. He's like, how many CEO workouts do you do a day? I'm like, seven CEO workouts. So it's, yeah, like I said, smooth transitions, different content, show that you know what you're doing, but also show that you are exceptional, but that your clients are exceptional. And yeah, that's one way. That's the social media aspect. Then, you know, we still print flyers and we put flyers out. And I sponsor tons of leagues. I sponsor 2 basketball leagues. I'm in the midst of sponsoring a hockey league. I sponsor a baseball team. I give donations to sick kids. And it's just a bunch of other ways to get your name out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess going back to what we were talking about in regards to, I guess, what you know in the industry rather than what you look like. Like there's been a lot of, I think now, like people like Ashley Bynes and all those people that used to send out all these, products and, plans, like they're getting pulled up in the media now, saying what they're doing is wrong. And actually, we talk about this Australian strength and conditioning coach, Christian Woodford, quite often, and he's been very actively like pulling him up on all these fallacies in the industry. And I guess like Nick and I, a big part of starting this podcast was actually because of some of this stuff that's going on, and we want to make change to that and stop that.
That's very admirable. That's why we need more people like you, right? That are trying to find the truth of what it is, and a lot more people to become interested. I feel like there's always evolution in society as more knowledge comes to become common knowledge, right?
Yes.
But in our industry, there's a lot of myths and fallacies, like you're saying. So, like, kudos to you guys for really trying to uncover what's real and what's not, you know? I hope I'm able to help as best as I can with that as well.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, I think you definitely are with what you're contributing to the industry at the moment. What about time management? Like you said that you're in the gym 5:30 till late at night, Monday to Sunday. How do you manage your time, but also able to manage your life as well?
So pretty much I have always been told I have good time management skills, but it was actually something I learned as I matured. It's basically got to have balance. I love this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I never read it cover to cover, but I felt like what I was reading always kind of I did. But it seems like that is not a common thing that people know. So I'm happy to say, basically, I know that I'm training clients between like a certain time and a certain time. I know I'm doing meetings between a certain time and a certain time, and I lay that out for myself. But I also know that if I figured out in my first couple months when I was just grinding and working, that if I keep doing this, I'm going to burn out. So then I know in the nighttime I might have clients again, right? Because I do like at least 12 clients a day minimum. That I need to find time for myself. So I either go out with my boys in the end of the day or with the girl I'm seeing at the moment. And give myself a little bit of time and I start again. But I know that I'm working towards something. So if I know my friends are going to go out and party till 3 a.m, I'm not going to do that. You need to be able to make a conscious choice of what's important to you. And when you know what's important for you and you know what's driving you, time management becomes kind of like just something that happens in the sense that you're like, I need to train my clients so I can help them get to their goals. I can build my brand and I can also make obviously the money to keep everything going. And then at the same time, you need a network, you need to grow. So you need to take those meetings that you think can grow your company. So if it's networking meetings like BNI that I'm a part of, it's like an international networking group. Or if it's since I have a bunch of sponsors and they want to introduce me to more sponsors, I take that meeting. Or if I have to have staff meeting, you got to make sure your staff is feeling appreciated and that they're doing all right. So you will want to check in with your staff every now and again. So I make myself a list for the week. I always put it into my Google Calendar. I put what I need to do, when I need to do it, how long I need to basically spend the time on it. And I build my structure around that. And like I said, give time to relaxation as well. Not too often because I do work 7 days a week, but I will give myself that moment in time during the days that I need to recuperate.
That's cool. And then within, I guess, that that time, do you allocate time to, I guess, work with particular staff members? Like you mentioned, you got 10 staff on board. So, you know, how do you, I guess one big part of leading and owning a business is managing staff. Do you allocate time to work with each staff member on their development, or I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the beautiful part about my gym is it's like you said, a personal training gym and a clinic. So it's 2,000 square feet. So I'm always around them. And because I'm in the gym 7 days a week, I see them. So I can monitor their strengths and weaknesses. I also get our client feedback, right? And I know their strengths and weaknesses. And I have this meeting with them. It's called like one-on-one meetings. And I have like this little thing where I'm saying, oh, what is your ideal client to train? Where do you feel your strengths are? What do you feel your weaknesses are? And I do it with them once a month, and I see how they matured. And I offer my advice. I'm like, oh, if that's not working for that client, maybe try a gentle touch. Or if you see this one's always canceling or rescheduling appointments, you need to be more direct. Not mean or aggressive, but more direct with their goals. Remind them of their goals. Remind them of your expectations. Or it can be personal matters. You know, we're all human beings. We all have stuff going on the inside, and it might not stem for anything from work, right? But you can offer your help in whatever capacity that they want you to help and that you may help. In terms of the education, I have a very high standard for the employees I hire. Chris, you met some of them, like Creighton and Daniel, who's trying to go to the Judo Olympics, and Creighton, who's a power lifter that's like comparative to you in his own right? So I have a very high standard. So I hope that when they come in, they are educated enough to do the job and that they have a hunger to continue learning. And then I offer whatever assistance I can to help them reach their educational goals. But yeah, I allocate time for them all the time. I got to make sure. If it's not once a week, if it's not once a month, they get their time.
Okay. Awesome. And like Nick and I are both coming out of an environment where we work very close with physiotherapists, physical therapists, and in that rehabilitation setting. Mm-hmm. And both of us saw the high value in that, in terms of being able to generate results, you know, working in a multidisciplinary team. How have you seen, how effective has that been, you know, at MBS, and how is the, I guess the working relationship between your physical therapists and your trainers at MBS, and how do you make it work?
Well, first of all, in terms of clients, yeah, like they will use just the fact that the rehab clinic is in the gym setting. They usually take advantage of that and use multiple services at MBS. So they will come for training, get a massage when they feel really sore. And then if they get injured, God forbid, they see our physio and they get back in the gym as soon as possible. So that's from the client perspective. In terms of the employees, they're really interested in each other because it's all like different capacities of understanding health, right? Because health is multidisciplinary. So we have the physio actually does training with me now. He's like, I will trade hours to do personal training. And then we will have one of our female trainers, Joanna, interested in massage therapy. She's talked to me about maybe going to massage school. So she'll talk to our massage therapist, Cindy, and our acupuncturist, and be like, so like, how would I do this? And we learn from each other, and it makes it a very, very fun place to work.
Okay, cool.
Do you find that you have to manage, say, boundaries between the different professions? So if you've got, say, a chiropractor and a, say, ex-physiotherapist, that they're not stepping on toes of the other professions or doing things that's outside of their scope? Yeah,
100%. Well, our physiotherapist, Nishi, he's very by the book. So I'll like be like, oh, how about if a trainer runs a treatment plan? He's like, no, can't do it. So we always need to be aware of the boundaries, and we always like make sure it's all good. We have a very professional intake kind of protocol where we take patients in, what their problems are, who they want to see, and that's who they see. And they know, the professionals know what their scope of practice is. They don't try to overextend, but the fact that they want to learn from each other, that never stops. And that's not a bad thing. As long as they keep it professional within the client setting, that's fine. But yeah, we always like to learn from each other, but we keep it professional, definitely in the terms of the question you're asking.
Awesome.
Awesome. And you mentioned a little bit about you use like a multitude of different marketing strategies to get, you know, to get clientele through the door, but also like brand awareness, etc. You talked about networking and social media. Do you want to go into that a little bit more?
If I were to kind of list it out, which would be easier to follow, I do the regular networking in terms of, so let's say to start, word of mouth. If you do a good job, we get referrals all the time. It's probably the number one thing I can tell anybody in similar industries is that if you do a good job, people are going to hear about it and you're going to get referrals. So that's one. Then there's networking meetings, which I go to, like I said, BNI, whatever. And it's basically a bunch of business owners that pass business to each other. Oh, you need a lawyer? I know a good lawyer. Oh, you need a chef that does catering? Oh, I know a caterer. Oh, you need a trainer or a gym or a chiro or whatever. And then you will hold that position and people will refer to you. So that's the networking meetings. 3 is social media. Social media is huge. It is the most amazing platform for free marketing that you can take advantage of. And I already went into detail on how I do that. After that, it is sponsorships. If you you need to sponsor things that are in your kind of field. So I like to do sports teams a lot because if I go and do like a florist and I sponsor a florist, you know, it's like, okay, cool. I love flowers. But like one old, you know, like, oh, do you want to go to the gym while you buy your bouquet? You know, that's probably not like you could do it, and it might even get you people. But like sports teams and stuff that people might get injured, adult leagues too, not just children's leagues, right? I can definitely help you a little bit more. So those are the sponsorships, and then like the old days, you know, like flyers, ads, this and that, right? And yeah, people are gonna see your flyer and be like, "Wow, that's a cool logo. Oh, wow, they do that there. Cool." And then another way besides that is totally forgot about this one, but if I recall it correctly, it is so non-customary, like non-normal ways of marketing. Like you can put ads on Kijiji and be like, "Hey, do you need a personal trainer?" Our judo champion trainer, he literally put an ad for himself and he got some clients out of that he brought to the facility. Because when you are talented and people will go to stuff that's not so standardized and see like, oh, that's a really good like set of skills that you present. I definitely want to get into that, right? So yeah, then there's the miscellaneous, not normal ways of marketing, which is fine. That's called guerrilla marketing, right? Like there was I remember I heard a story because I took a course, business skills for fitness and health professionals. And there was this guy that used to sell fridges before fridges were normal, or microwaves. I don't remember what it was. And he would follow the van of an ice truck for when the ice would get to the house. And then he would wait for the ice guy to leave, go to the house and be like, "Hey, how do you never want to use ice ever again?" Right? And he would show them the fridge or whatever it was that he was selling, right? So there's like different ways that you can market yourself that people would never expect. And you got to add that to your kind of multitude of marketing strategies. So yeah, that's like most of what I do, but there's probably more that I'm forgetting.
Yeah. All right, cool. And you mentioned all about networking with other businesses. So I guess by doing that, you create a lot of community. So you're creating a business community. What about the internal community of your facility? Like creating a community between the members, between the trainers, all your different staff members. What do you do for that?
That's a great question. And it actually takes me back to my Good Life days. We would have like a place where we would train our clients, but it would be in the gym and all the other members would see it, right? And it created a little bit of a negative, not a negative feeling for the clients, but kind of like you're separate from them, right? And like there's sometimes that kind of perception where it's like, oh, you need a trainer to do this, even though it's proven that having a qualified professional trainer will help you, right? But being in a setting where, oh, you guys have trainers and you guys don't, it creates a little bit of a barrier. But in my facility, to use the facility, you need to have a trainer. Like, well, if you are going to work on your own, that's fine, but you have to have sessions with a trainer and you do have to see your trainer. So everyone feels like together, like they're working for something greater with a proper tutelage and they're seeing results together. And there's no judgment and everyone just feels great, you know, which creates a very happy community. Like you're doing it the right way. You're setting goals for yourself. People around you are setting goals for themselves. They're being guided by a trainer, even if it's not the same trainer as yours, and you're all moving together as one. And it's a great feeling. And that's what I had in mind when I opened the place.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really cool. I think people underestimate the power of community. And I think the fitness industry is probably one of the best industries about creating community. Like, you think about how CrossFit, I would say, would be number one, you know, and how they've like created such amazing communities within their, you know, CrossFit boxes, and between, between different gyms, just the sport itself. I think it's got such a positive community vibe. I think powerlifting is now going down that same track, and weightlifting and strongman. So like everyone's kind of going down there. I think the fitness industry is so good at that, and I think you see the most successful sports and facilities are the ones that take pride in creating community and invest in creating that community, because if people feel a part of it, then you know, it's more than just the training. You know, it's about the community, and it's about the collective rather than about just yourself.
100%. Like that feeling of community is also something that is what pushed me to open up my own gym and clinic, because I was thinking of becoming a doctor early on in my schooling. I wanted to be a cardiologist, and I was going to take the MCAT, and I was studying, and I was doing well in my grades, and my mom was like, "Oh, yay, my son's gonna be a doctor." She's just as proud right now, but like that was some of the thing, right? So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, do I really want to be, not to say that it's not a job that people should do, it's definitely a job that needs to be happening. But for my own personality, I'm a happy guy. I like seeing other people happy. And in a hospital setting, you just see a lot of sadness and a lot of death, even though we don't want to talk about it, a lot of sickness, and you want to be there for them, you want to help them, but people get that anxiety and that hopelessness. And I didn't know if I was suited to do that job. So definitely, if you talk about the fitness industry being as one of those things that can bring people together and bring a sense of community and happiness, I speak from experience, 100%. Like, everyone just feels happy.
And I guess the cultural community of any sort of place or environment is going to filter down from the leader. So I think it's a testament to how well you filter that to your tribe, and then they enforce it and you enforce it amongst each other as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yep.
That's so true. All right, so we've got a couple of questions to finish off today. I guess the first one, what's a daily habit you have that you feel is crucial to your success as a coach or as a business owner?
Getting an early start is really important. I love, even though it's hard, it's not even hard anymore because it's just my routine. Waking up at 5:30 in the morning, training my first client that I start at 6, and then messaging all my clients for the day saying, hey, like, get ready to train today. And they all know that, like, I care. And I get all my to-do lists done. I send out my emails. I set my appointments. I get everything organized for the day. I pull out the client's files. I check what's missing. I restock on anything. And then by the time people are waking up at like 10, I've already done what they would do in like half a day. And by the time they wake up, I'm already done it. So an early start is very important for me.
Yeah, that's an awesome one.
Sorry. You go.
No, go.
Any tips for people wanting to get up earlier? So I know it's a struggle most people have. Anyone wants to transition into an early start?
Yeah, like I said, find your why. Think about why you want to have an early start, not just because I saw Rocky wake up and drink some eggs and go for a run. So I'm like, oh yeah. Or like because you're trying to be part of that group of like, oh, I wake up early. No, like if you don't need to, don't. Like, right? It's think about like, okay, I want to be a lawyer, let's say, right? And I have my LSATs coming, and I know if I work out at 6, I'll increase productivity and whatever, and absorption of information and yada yada. So be like, okay, go to sleep thinking about it. Be like, this is why I want to do it, and get excited about it, right? Don't do it as like, oh, I got to do this. Be excited about it. Go to sleep excited. Be wanting to wake up that next day really early. Because if you find like that passion for why you want to wake up, you're gonna wake up. But if you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, like, it's more like you're trying to force yourself, and that's harder to instill.
I love it. Do you have like a vision board or goals board? Like, how do you keep your why fresh in your mind?
Oh man, like I want to be like, I want to give you that answer. Like, yeah, I got a vision board. Yeah, I don't, man. It's just something inside. Like I just want it.
Yeah, right.
I go to bed and that's just me, you know. Like, I want to be saying the vision board, but I don't got that, man. No vision board.
That's all right. Everyone's different.
Yeah. All right, cool. And I know you've already mentioned one in this podcast already, but what's one book or text that you would recommend to, to maybe your trainers, to people listening, that you think, and this can be either like about life, can be about training, can be whatever you want. Something that you thought that you took something out of that you think is crucial to your success.
I'll give you two books. I'll give you one that I really like in terms of knowledge for training, and then I'll give you one that inspired me from like a very young age that I read probably 3 times already. The one for training is Becoming a Supple Leopard by Kelly Starrett. I find that he really goes into the level of movements. A lot of people talk about, the stretching sources that he has in there, the like recovering from injuries in terms of like using bands and trigger balls and all that kind of stuff, and foam rolling, which is also a great thing. But it's more like how he kind of sets levels for movements. And I can kind of give people an idea of like where they should start and how they can increase within like a confident kind of range. So I really liked that he showed like level 1 movements. I forget what it was. It was like level 1, stage 1. And then he went all the way up to like Olympic lifting, like snatches, cleans, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was a great book. And then the inspiring book was called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And man, like I remember when I was young, taking me back to those demolition days and all that. I was kind of like, like the amount of hard work you put in, like that's what dictates everything, which I still believe hard work is part of it. But sometimes things will happen and you need to not break down when those things happen, because sometimes it's just leading you to something better. So yeah, that book will just show you that like it's a mix of hard work and just going like being open to change. Yeah. And that's what it is.
That's that's 2 podcasts in a row that's been
brought up. That's why you both smiled.
yeah, we both smiled. Yeah, I've read it. My partner's read it. My brother's read it. A lot of my good friends have read it, and everyone has the same take on this. Like, it's so inspiring. So I'm sure now, after hearing it two times in a row, our listeners are gonna find that book and be reading it. Yeah. So, and I guess one last question is, I guess with all the knowledge and experiences you have now, what's one bit of advice that you would give yourself starting out, or maybe you'd give to someone who's very early in their career as a trainer?
2 things. Everyone is always going to say do it for the passion, and I'm going to, like I said before, do it for the passion. But also because we are so passionate, and I talked to you about this, Chris, because we are so passionate about what we do, we sometimes forget that it's a valuable service not everyone can provide. So when you're setting your price range and when you're doing things and whatever, don't underestimate your worth. Know that you are worth something, and that a lot of people are lucky to receive the service that you're going to be doing. And and go from there and be like, then that's how you make your price range, and that's how you move forward, being passionate about what you do and knowing what you're worth. So that'd be my advice. Just know what you're worth and work hard and be passionate about what you like.
That's really cool. I like that one. I think that's I think especially for people starting out as trainers, like charging people a higher dollar value. Like I know I always had that hardship. I'd be like, I know, is it just, am I within integrity to ask someone to pay that much? But I guess if you value yourself, if you value yourself for that, and that customer does, that client does, then who says that you're not worth that?
You do, however, need to understand what it means to be qualified and what it means to be like, I think I'm good at something, because there is a lot of saturation in our industry. So just because someone like can squat, let's say 555, I don't know, a lot of weight, and be like, I'm amazing, I'm worth all this, but he has like 1 certification from like some back alley, like in this like training certification, and be like, I am worth this. Like, be realistic, know what you're worth, but also try to always learn, trying to be as knowledgeable as you can, so you can justify charging what you charge from experience and from qualifications. not just because you've been in the gym since you were 12, which is great because like that's a lot of experience, but like supplemented with many different things.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, I'll be out in a couple of minutes.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for coming on today, Itay. I think it's a little bit of a change of pace from our regular podcasts. But I think, most trainers and coaches out there, everyone wants to start a gym. Everyone's dream is to have their own gym or their own facility. And I think your story is quite inspiring. Coming from, your experiences, to come out and create what you have. I find that quite inspiring, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will as well. So thank you for today. And can you let people know how they can find you, or if they have any questions for you, follow you, social media, etc.
Perfect. Thank you for having me on the show. And they can follow the gym's Instagram, MBS. So M as in mom, B as in Bob, S as in Sam _Health Inc. And if you want to follow my personal page, it's Itay, ITAY _794. If you want to send an email to the facility or find out where it is, itay.a@mbsfitness.ca. We're located at 8461 Keele Street, Unit 31 in Thornhill, Ontario, Canada. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. That was awesome,
man. Thanks so much, man.
Bye, guys.